This week, Phil Spencer has a massive leak on his hands, and thy name is Xbox. Unity is trying the best to climb out of the hole they dug themselves. Sony State of Play happened this week, and we took our first look at the release trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Then we talk about the recent release of God of Weapons. Then there's a little more on Blasphemous 2. And then we talk about the revival of a beloved shooter franchise, Titanfall.
I'm Nick, and I'm of the opinion that you can't be center left unless you vote for one mech in every classroom.
Hi, I'm Josh, and Xbox is leaking so much it might need to take penicillin.
And I'm Andy. This is Video Game Tango. Well, hey there.
Microsoft.
Heidi ho.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was your cue,
Josh's
Josh.
line.
Oh.
Hello, everybody.
I'm sorry, that was my cue from you.
We're here to talk about Microsoft.
We are here to talk about Microsoft.
This is the Microsoft
and its
podcast.
Big old leak. So lots of information came out, including a new console, a new console, of course, in I think 2028. So down the line, but a new mid console refresh, which they previously said they weren't going to do. Oopsie daisy, they're doing it. So there are some cool upgrades into that. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to dive into some of that in just a second here, but I also want to cover a couple of the other things that were leaked, released, found out. So we're also going to be getting a new Dishonored and a new Doom are both slated.
Doom with
new
an M?
Doom with
Yes.
an M.
Okay.
Battling demon monsters on Mars.
My favorite.
After the horrendous Redfall debacle, they're going. Arcane is going back to a trusted IP, so that's good to see. We also learned that Elder Scrolls 6 is not coming out on the PlayStation, so that's some disappointing news for
We're sorry.
a lot of oopsie daisies. But then we also got confirmations on information like Oblivion, an Oblivion remaster, a remaster of Snickerdoodles. I'm forgetting, but we'll
That's
get
my
back into that.
favorite game.
Fallout 3.
I cannot
Fallen
wait.
3 and a Tokyo Ghostlight Tokyo. Ghostwire. I had almost all the words.
You almost
guys.
had words.
Ghostwire Tokyo 2, and also a Red Dead confirmation that Rockstar is working on a Red Dead remaster. So all of that coming out. But let's jump into that Series X refresh. So the first thing that's going is that boxy design, baby. It's gone. Welcome to the world of cylinders. Cylinders are in. I like cylinders. They're hot. I want cylinders. So we're getting them.
Well, hopefully they're not too hot. We don't want red rings.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want them too hot. So
don't like
along
a
with the
hot
boxy design, it looks like they're probably ditching the disk drive as well.
Yeah.
Now, where there's some not ditching but upgrading is you are going to get a 2 terabyte hard drive.
Oh.
2 terabytes. That's double the space that's currently in the X
lot of
right
teras.
now. You are also going to be getting a Wi-Fi 6E. I had to have Andy explain what that means to me. That's just the latest generation of Wi-Fi, and E means excellent or efficient, probably.
6 electricians worth of Wi-Fi.
We're also getting a USB-C port right on the front of this sumbitch finally. So that's awesome. There's also a new controller that's coming out. All of them have cool names like Project Seville or Sebel or Cybel and Project Brooklyn spelled
Project
incorrectly.
Sibian.
So like a lot has come out. A lot has come out.
Yeah,
That's a big
including
leak.
so it's a relatively big leak. So not only is the new refresh for the X going to be getting 2 terabytes, the new refresh for the S, which is going to be coming out a couple months sooner, probably mid 2025, looks like that's going to be a terabyte. So their SKUs right now are 512 and a terabyte, or 512 gigabytes and a terabyte, versus in 2025 a terabyte and 2 terabytes. So doubling the storage in both of the consoles. That's going to be a really good thing, considering like the Modern Warfare 2 remaster release new thing is like 170 gigs, right?
That's
like we're getting to the point where 1 terabyte console is not enough for more than like a handful of games.
Yeah. True that.
So more storage, better. It looks like they're going to be maintaining the price points at $299 and $499 respectively,
which is nice. Maintaining that same good price there. That's cool.
Yeah, they've raised the efficiency by quite a bit. So the processors in these, they're sticking with the same range of processor. They're still going to be AMD built. They're still going to be based on Zen 5 architecture, but they are going to be massively more efficient, and they've reduced the die size to 6mm instead of 9mm and 7mm. So vastly much improved, cooler, better. I mean, it looks like both of them are going to be able to deliver 4K as well. So, where the Series S was stuck to 1080p and 1440p, looks like it's going to be able to do 4K now. If the Xbox Series X is a little bit too out of your price point right now, then in a couple of years with the refresh, the new Series S is going to essentially be what the Series X is now.
Yeah.
Just slightly less storage. The same storage as now.
The flip side of this, though, is the S and X are currently behind PlayStation 5 in sales. Yes? Right?
Yeah.
Why now, in just a little over a year, if I was thinking about buying an Xbox this Christmas, which I was, why the fuck would I buy an Xbox right now when I can wait till next Christmas and get one that's twice as good?
Well, Christmas after next.
Why would I drop the same 500 when I can just wait? I've waited this long. I've waited this long,
in lies the problem with leaks. You wouldn't have known had this leak not happened,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and somebody at Xbox is rolling for this, but that's not the only downside to this leak. There was also Game Pass information in this leak, because it's a lot of the court documents that they were presenting for the FTC suit. So now this is not the FTC's fault, or at least that's what they're saying. They're saying it's all coming out. This is all Microsoft's fault that this leak happened, right? But the other downside of that is we're seeing that Game Pass is not doing as well as the PlayStation model. So like there's some downsides to these leaks as well that we're learning. But the big one for me is, why the fuck would I gonna drop $500 on an Xbox when I can just wait a couple more years and get a better one? I don't know. Well, so anyway, sorry to just interject there. That was a downside to it.
Not a bad argument.
I mean, right now you don't have much of a reason to buy an Xbox. Period. You already have a competent gaming PC. And Xbox Game Pass is all you have to pay for PC, which is like $7.99 a month.
Yeah.
So, you have very little reason to buy an Xbox. Now, somebody that's already been looking at buying an Xbox, they also have no reason to look forward 2 years in the future and wait for the new Xbox, right? It is an iterative upgrade. It's a refresh. Those that have failed Xboxes probably going to want to get on the newer Xboxes or that kind of thing. But the market for these is relatively small. They're going to be cheaper to manufacture for sure. I mean, that's why we get refreshes of consoles, is because they're massively cheaper to manufacture by the time they get into the manufacturing phase, which means that they can do things like drop prices dramatically for the holiday season. You're not going to see the Xbox Series S and Series X at their retail prices anymore. Now that they've been out for a few years and the manufacturing cost has gone down, you're going to see sales during the holiday season. You're going to see sales during the rest of the year. So there are pros for gamers. It's just like we are looking too far in the future as far as it's concerned, because it's leaked, right?
The other game I couldn't think of that was getting a remaster was Fallout 3 is getting a remaster as well. Yeah. So,
the one that I said.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You did say that one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So with the new console, it does look like they're changing their architecture. So in consoles, we've been using x86 processors for the last few console generations. Those are standard processors. Those are literally the processors that you see in your gaming PC. That's like what everybody uses for processors. Intel and AMD processors are typically all x86. There has been a kind of a migration, especially due to the ubiquity of cell phones now. Most of our cell phones are using ARM-based architecture processors. It's an entirely different process node. Now that they're getting as ubiquitous as they have become, the likes of Apple and Microsoft are now looking at using ARM as their future. ARM has been fairly like the growth of ARM has been static up until the last couple of years, where now you're seeing Xbox talking or Microsoft talking about using ARM architecture in their processors, and Apple has been using ARM in their processors, their own developed nodes for a couple of years now with the advent of the M1 processor. And ARM is pretty exciting because it is system on a chip. It's a really small package, but it's been like we've seen a massive increase in performance as of late. Like they just announced the iPhone 15 last week. The iPhone 15 has the newest ARM architecture processor node that they've developed for iPhone. And it is going to be able to play Resident Evil 4 Remake, the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remasters, and Assassin's Creed, I think it's Mirage, are slated to come out for the iPhone and play natively on the ARM processor and its integrated GPU. At the native resolution for the iPhone, which is greater than HD. It's not quite 4K, but it's even above 1440p. So it is really impressive. It also has onboard native ray tracing, which is going to be enabled in these games. So the ARM architecture is probably looking to be the future going forward. It's seeing much bigger advancement than x86 has seen in ages. So I think that's cool and interesting as far as hardware goes. It might mean really good things for cost and power and efficiency.
That is pretty exciting to see in the system refresh thing.
Yeah. Of course, now we're also seeing that they're also looking at developing more products, which is something that we've theorized on the show at length about, like just TV add-ins where you can plug in and you get Game Pass and the Microsoft Store on your TV that now becomes your console, and it's all cloud-based,
and that's
right?
That's kind of what that controller, their new controller, is built in to do. It's like you can just link it to your TV and be playing it's cloud-based, cloud structured, right? So that's what they're looking at doing. And I mean, fuck, I guess if Google's going to fail at it, the only people you could see succeed is fucking Microsoft, right?
Well, maybe potentially. Like, again, it's all a leak. So while these technologies have been funded, a lot of them have been funded. A lot of them are still seeking funding, or they're still in the research and development process before they decide to fund these projects. Because that shows that on the roadmap as far as whether they're funded or not, and how far into R&D they are. Some of them are going to be misses. Some of them are never going to see the light of day. That's the issue with a leak.
The key here, though, is that these, like, where there's teeth in this leak, where is that these are court documents that were presented to the FTC. So these have to have seriousness to them. This isn't some disgruntled dude who hacked a Twitter account. These are court papers, court fight. Like, I mean,
it honestly doesn't mean a whole lot more. Just because it comes from the FTC, these are as official as any of the like trusted Apple leaks were, right before the launch of the iPhone 15 or console leaks from previous generations.
I think we have to. Sure, this is still, we are doing a lot of speculation here, but this is, I feel like, reasoned and educated speculation, because like I feel like this is more solid than like even the.
The question to ask is, would there be a more trustworthy leak?
Yeah.
No, sure. Trustworthy. We've got trust under the bag. This is official Microsoft court documents.
Trustworthy in the sense that, like, these are their plans.
Yes, these are their plans.
If there's not a more trustworthy leak, then
for sure
this is the best we can hope for.
But in particular, none of these things may end up reaching the consumer.
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff that's for the next. I agree with you. For the stuff for the next gen console, because a lot of that is ephemeral. It's up in the air. That is standing reason to change.
It's funded.
But these refreshes, these are coming out in the next 2 years. Like that's solid information.
I would not be surprised if they do. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, if they're slated to come out next year, they're the majority
year
of the
after
way
next.
done.
It's 2025.
Oh, 2 years. Yeah. Then there's probably a good amount of work done.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And they are also funded, and they're probably beginning the manufacturing. Like, manufacturing usually happens a year and a half, 2 years.
It takes quite a while.
Yeah, before launch, right? So, yeah, it's possible that they have the infrastructure to to be manufacturing these already, right?
And then, sure, I understand game titles get dropped, but these games, they were already heavy rumors, and this is to me feels like confirmation on that. So I feel like there is a lot of good information in this leak.
That said, I mean, Phil Spencer has come out and stated now that you can't trust everything that the leak says because they are changing their minds actively pre and post leak, right?
I mean,
But
sure.
he can't say anything else.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
Right? Like
exactly.
his hand is kind of
Exactly.
forced that he has to
He
say.
can neither confirm nor deny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
100%. But
useless to point out that he said it.
But that's also probably true, right? Like some of these projects may never see the light of day. This is all speculative.
At the end of the day, I not terribly surprised, but pretty disappointed in the lineup of games that were leaked.
Yeah.
Like out of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and Oblivion and Morrowind, they picked the two games that are arguably worst by anyone who's played them.
Yeah.
Like what?
But
why?
they were the best. I mean, they were best sellers, right? So that's what they're going with probably. Is just
do
their
you
sales.
know? Do you know if Morrowind sold less than Oblivion and New Vegas less than 3?
Well, they are doing.
They're doing 3 and not New Vegas, and they're doing Oblivion and not Morrowind. And I'm
Yes.
saying that Morrowind and New Vegas are like by anyone who's played them much
No,
better
that's
games than
no,
the
that's,
other
that's
two.
my guess. That's my guess is that they probably sold
Also,
better. Fallout 3 was big.
More fucking remakes,
Yeah.
right? Which goes inside with another leak that this massive leak had. It was Phil Spencer essentially saying AAA studios are just resting on the laurels of games they made 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And they should stop doing that.
Yep. No, and it's true. Phil Spencer makes a good fucking point. Is like we are just seeing remake after remake. Now there is a remake that I'm really excited about that I will talk about later in the show. But no, it's 100% correct. Like we aren't seeing many new IP, and we aren't seeing many successful new IP either.
It's just too
That's the thing,
dangerous.
is like
Iterative.
I'm okay with a continued IP so long as it's getting updates and it's getting care and attention. There's nothing wrong with taking something successful and continuing on with that.
We all
for
like a good
while.
sequel to our favorite
but
games.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to that fucking next Spider-Man game. I cannot wait to play the next God of War game.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Sure.
Excited as fuck. So I just want to say it's not like new IP is excellent. I'm always excited for it, but it's not the end all be all when we can have a well cared for continued IP as well. I like that just as much.
Let's change the phrasing. How about new games instead of remakes and remasters?
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to play fucking Oblivion again. I played it when I was 16. If I want to fucking do that, I'll get a fucking nice modded version. I'll pay for the game and then I'll fucking throw mods on it.
Yeah.
It'll look great. Give me.
And probably even better than the one that
Yeah.
they remaster, right? Because we haven't
And
like
especially if any game, Sky Oblivion is an entire Oblivion remake in the Skyrim engine. That's
Yeah.
a modded thing.
right.
It's like, they're going to make a paid version. That's probably going to be worse than the mods version. Because if there's anything we know about mod authors, it's just they care too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the love and care and attention that I want to see from these million and billion-dollar companies with the IP. Is that kind of care?
They picked Oblivion and they picked Fallout 3 because they're safer.
So
These companies cannot risk any percentage of profit.
Yeah.
So they will pick the lowest hanging fruit in the hopes of just bilking out a little bit more money.
that's the world we live in.
And plus Dishonored 3, cool, mildly exciting. Not after Redfall.
Yeah, right.
Kind of
Yeah.
lost all respect there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
No one forced you to make that game and you did anyways.
that's I feel like why Arcane's really diving back towards that trusted IP is because that new one that they
They got a taste of something good with that Loop game. I can't remember the name of it.
Deathloop,
Deathloop.
Yeah.
which did really
Yeah, it
well.
did great. And then I'm assuming the money people got a hold of them and they said, let's make Redfall. Let's make it a fucking awful game and force your hand. And
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's an excellent brand. It could have been like a Left 4 Dead clone and done reasonably well if it had gotten a little TLC.
Yeah. Some quick footnotes from the
Yeah.
Xbox leak, real quick. Also leaked was that now this had been rumored previously, but that Phil Spencer tried to buy Nintendo.
Yeah.
a couple
Gross.
times. It looks like, yeah, and they pretty much got laughed out of the room. They also tried. So at one point they had essentially like an insider infiltrator. Somebody bought on the Microsoft team bought large stock in Nintendo, and their attempts were to get in the board so they could start movement towards an Xbox acquisition of Nintendo. It really did not pan out for them. So
First off, not even the FTC would let that one go, and
They don't have the fucking money.
And Japan's version of the FTC, it
Way
would
more
be
strict.
a cold day in Bowser Land. Bowser's castle will have frozen the fuck over before they sell to fucking Microsoft.
It also showed that they have interest in buying out Valve.
And WB.
Also gross.
Yeah, and WB. But also the court documents shared a little bit of a leak as to the new Nintendo console,
It did.
just in the fact that it exists.
Yeah.
And that Microsoft knows about it. Which
They put out a lot of
But
consoles.
again,
Yeah.
in fairness, that's just a confirmation for strong rumors and
Yeah.
information we kind of already had. The Switch has been out for six and a half, almost 7 years, 6.5 years.
You're
That's
not supposed
getting
to say that part
that's
out loud.
long.
It's been a
in
hot
the
minute.
tooth for a console. So it's
well, not in lately. As we've been seeing like an average of 8 years between console generations. So it's
but I mean
it's
that's
getting
what
toward
I mean.
it.
It's
but
getting to the point where it's
yeah.
it's time.
It does look
You
like
know?
Nintendo is looking at a release potentially for next year for the next console. So that is at least, relatively big news. So it looks like they will be ahead of Xbox, certainly, and maybe Sony. So, yeah. At any rate, there was some big stuff. I mean,
It definitely was.
none of it feels super left field, but
No, it was like I said, a lot of it was confirmations of rumors that was already out there. But honestly, the refresh consoles, that's kind of bring, because they up until that leak they'd been saying we're not doing a refresh.
yeah.
So
So, at any rate, I think we beat the Xbox horse to death.
yeah, that feels about right.
Let's do a little bit of Unity follow up, huh?
Unity. Yeah, where do we live off? This was like brand spanking new news last week
Yeah.
when we talked about this. Since then, a lot of stuff has happened. Pretty much akin to the WotC Hasbro fallout. A lot of devs and a lot of random people and gamers and people like that have
Jeff Keighley.
freaked the hell out.
Yeah.
about
Jeff
this.
Keighley was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Unity thought they could kind of just pull this over, and they picked the wrong time and environment to do it in. We talked a little bit about it outside earlier. It's like, it used to be this kind of stuff happened incrementally and slowly, and not enough people get angry about it. But companies now are so fucking brazen that they attempt to pull shit like this. It just doesn't really fly anymore, which is a good thing. But yeah, where do we even start? So Unity attempted to essentially retroactively charge and in the future charge a lot of people an egregious amount of money in a very, very bizarre way per install of game using their engine, which is just about the weirdest choice you can make. Since then, they had apologized for the quote unquote confusion.
I've actually got the
Go ahead
tweet
and
here.
read is this the original one?
Yeah, so Unity says, "We have heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst the runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday caused. We are listening, talking to our team members, community, customers, and partners, and will be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in a couple of days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback."
This was after like almost a week of silence, right? It's not enough, to the point where there's now a collective of small indie gamers that have banded together and turned off their ads in their game using Unity's software until such time that this whole thing is reverted 100%. People are jumping ship. I'm seeing left and right tutorials how to switch from Unity to Godot or Unreal. Caves of Hood, one of my favorite roguelikes, he ported his entire game over in like 14 hours. He's like, it can be done. You can do this. Don't trust Unity. There has been since a second kind of clawback from Unity that I don't know the verbatim on, but basically they sound like they're attempting to backpedal. But much like WotC and Hasbro with the D&D OGL stuff at the beginning of the year, trust is gone. Like, they went so far as to take down their terms of services so they were going to keep up for everyone to see, so they could make this retroactive change behind the scenes and then put it back up. Like, Unity is following this a little bit. It's already been having problems for the last 5 years or so with users. Yeah. And yeah, I think this is kind of, they don't have any more foots to shoot themselves in. And it's going to be downhill from here from Unity.
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna trust them after changing their end user license agreement and their terms of service? Well, after they stated that they were going to give you live updates on their terms of service, their EULA, and then took that away, right? Like you were talking earlier about how they had a GitHub suppository of all of their changes as they were, depository. Repository, whatever.
Might as well put it up your ass.
Their dictository.
Yeah.
That they had an ongoing like change list. So you could see it as it updated and how it updated each iteration. Which is a normal thing to do, like game dev updates. It's a well understood thing in the community to get this kind of change log, and then they took it away before making some, of course, radical changes to it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, at the end of the day, who's going to trust them anymore? Like I couldn't at this point. Like I could not invest. Say the barrier to entry is $1,000. I would not invest $1,000 knowing that they might be taking more than I've profited on the game from me in the near future. Right.
Yeah. You imagine you're making a game and it happens to blow up and you are at the baseline original agreement, like terms and limits, and you sold your 200,000th copy
for $5 and on Steam.
You're making cents of profit on these things. And the moment you hit 200,000, you're charged $40,000 by Unity because that's 20 cents an install.
While there's nothing concrete set, Bloomberg does have a report. There's nothing set in concrete, but the retroactive charging is supposedly going to be gone, and Unity is going to limit fees to 4% of a game's revenue for customers making over $1 million. Instead of that $200,000 benchmark we talked about.
But we also would like to clarify whether that's revenue or profit.
It is revenue.
Okay.
The reported change right now, and again, nothing's in concrete, is revenue, which it's not correct. It should be profit. The
$1 million helps.
The $1 million pushes it out, but it's still in revenue, and that's still like revenue includes costs for doing things. There's still not taxes taken out. There's still a lot of stuff that comes out between revenue and profit, and that $1 million should be profit, and then it seems a little more fair. It's still, and getting rid of that retroactive shit, that's bullshit. Like, everybody knows there was a visceral reaction to that because everyone knew that was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it was such a visceral reaction. So,
and a dev team of 3 guys, right, puts up a game because, Unity cost them $3,000 to get into. It's people are well educated on the engine. There's a lot of resources out there for you, a lot of texture packs, and
$3,000 just for the license.
Right. And then additionally for texture packs and paying your developers, artists, but then you launch it for $5. Now you're in the can for, $150,000 on the promise that you will be making profit when this game goes live. Now you put it up on a marketplace like Steam for $5. Steam takes their 30% cut. But that does not. Your revenue is $5. Mm-hmm. Steam just took 30% of that. You have to pay your developers. You have to pay your investors because almost all games get off the ground with at least some investment on promise of a game launch, on promise of profit. So you have to pay your investors. And then Unity comes in and says, hey, you're doing relatively successfully. Yoink. We'd like at least 4%, right? So it's too much.
Yeah, it is definitely too much, because it's in that revenue column. Profits, you start to say, okay, well, it's $1 million, but it's still
$1 million at the end of the day. That's that's not that.
It's not that much. Not in the game world. It really isn't. And again, it's not like Unity was fucking going under. Some very Among Us is made using the Unity engine. Cult of the Lamb.
Massively popular.
Massively popular games are made using this engine, and all they're doing is driving away license holders. I mean, like you said, one guy ported his entire game over. It took him 14 hours. Cool, excellent.
Yeah.
That's going to happen more and more. Yeah. Is at the beginning of this, like we said, the trust is gone.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they managed to fly catch some percentage of people who are far enough along in a project that cannot afford to switch over for now, right? They're going to continue to work on the game, and in the next year or two, the game's going to come out. And at that point, a year or two will pass. We'll see if Unity's managed to claw back any favor at all. But more than likely, this is it. Like, we're in the last phase of Unity, and they did it to themselves.
It's all shady because they sold off stocks like a week or two before this news happened.
Not even a full week.
Yeah, not even full, right?
Yeah.
And then while all this is going on, I got another little quote here from Bloomberg also reports that Unity exec Mark Whitten has said the latest changes aren't public yet because executives are still running them by partners and don't want to repeat the communication debacle. Yeah. Like we just... It was a misunderstanding about how they're going to fuck us in the ass. Like, what? That the insult to injury that these fucking companies constantly throw out is just, boy, it's almost too much to take sometimes. I had to add in that last little part there. Boy, that chaps my biscuits. Yeah. Whew. Okay. Anyway.
I personally, unless something drastically changes, which it won't, I won't be buying Unity games after December 31st. Right. I mean, it's all I can do. Buy them now while you can. Hell, most of these Unity games, there's a good chunk. They're probably going to get delisted, and you will not be able to buy them by the end of the year.
Rust and chat brings up Escape from Tarkov, also in the Unity, and these are again very popular games, and boy howdy.
Yeah, Big Panda brings up a good point. Escape from Tarkov. Says low-key has me nervous for Tarkov. The devs are average at best with Unity and no experience with other engines. And that's true. A lot of the problems that Tarkov has is in-engine issues, especially with its issues, especially with the launch of their new city map, massive latency and rendering issues. Those are engine side.
Plays a lot of Tarkov. At times it's pretty scuffed. Yeah. Right. So
and that's... That's a scary thing, man. Like, not only, especially if they were to get hit retroactively with this, how popular as Tarkov is, and how cheaply they've fucking put it out for like a long time. Like, it was under $30 for a really long time to get the base.
Baffling
edition.
It isn't blatantly illegal.
To
change your terms of service to charge people for stuff retroactively.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Like, you imagine that in any other business, right? Oh, you make your factory and you make shovels. Well, we're going to start charging you for every time a project happened with a customer who bought a shovel in the past. Like,
mind-boggling.
Anyways,
do we have brighter news?
We do.
Happier news?
We have actual good news.
I have some stuff to talk about from the Sony State of Play, because we probably shouldn't ignore that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, we haven't had a State of Play that's been earth-shattering for a while, except for this one, for me. Just for me, though. So a few things of note. Resident Evil 4 Remake is getting DLC and a VR mode. Those are coming later this year, sometime during winter. Nice. They showed off more Helldivers 2, and it got a release date of next February.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, they showed more Marvel Spider-Man 2, and it got a deep dive. They showed some other stuff. There's a game called Baby Steps coming out that looks really fucking dumb. I'm sorry. Roblox is coming to the PS4 in October 10th to be specific.
Yay.
Yeah. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord is coming to PSVR. Now, that's kind of neat. A Ghostbusters game in VR could be super cool, right? I mean, they kind of fudged the last couple Ghostbusters games. Yeah, probably. Let's see. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora got another trailer and launched a release date of December 7th.
Movie tie-in game.
Yeah. Ghost Runner 2 got a demo, so there's a demo available on PSN. The Deep Earth collection of PS5 DualSense controllers and console covers was unveiled, so you get aesthetic covers for your
real life
controllers.
DLC skins?
Real life skins for your controller.
Oh shit.
Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn launches on November 9th. I know we've talked about that at length.
At least that's an actual product. It's a thing that somebody made.
Sure.
So I'm, you know, controller skins.
What's weird is it says Honkai Star Rail releases for PC on October 11th, but people are already playing Honkai Star Rail
emulators.
Yeah, that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Foam Stars got an overview trailer that revealed that an open beta party will take place between September 29th and October 1st on PS5 ahead of the game's launch. So that's the
it's the brawler.
Yeah.
The arena brawler with the foam.
Could be pretty neat. But the big one, the one that they showed right at the end, it's big for me, is we got a new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer, and they announced a release date of February 29th of 2024.
Is there a 29th of next year? Is it a leap year? Are they fucking with us?
Don't fuck with me, Nick. I'm checking. Hold on. I'm sorry. We're putting this whole thing. There is a 29th.
Okay.
Oh God, that would, yeah. Oh my God.
I'm born in February, so you said 29th. I was like, I'm pretty sure there's only 28 days in February.
I would have had to end the podcast. I would have cried.
Done.
Oh man.
So Final Fantasy VII got a new trailer, and I want to talk game theory about Final Fantasy VII because this trailer, more than any other previous trailer, because we've essentially got teasers all the way up until this point, is a real trailer. It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds long, and there it is fucking packed. Like, this is a slideshow of a trailer, and in which you get like a second for each slide. So it begins by showing Zack in Midgar. Which you got at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is one of the problems that I have with the remake. I'm worried that they're going to integrate Zack somehow. He shouldn't be involved in the story, other than the fact that he was... if you've played Final Fantasy VII, you know. That's I'd have to do an entire lore video on Zack and Cloud in order to make you understand that if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII. So I'm not going to get in those weeds. But what we do see the canon in Junon, which is awesome. That entire part of the game is one of my favorite portions of the game, which... this city looks awesome. You get the parade in which you have to act as a soldier parading down the lane, which is fun.
I still hum the parade theme to myself like at least once a week.
I do it all the time, dude. And watching this trailer today, I had to go back. I listened to the entire original soundtrack for Final Fantasy VII and the remake, and I cried a little bit, and I smiled, and it was a great time.
How many times a week do you hum the parade theme to yourself?
It's fairly regularly, dude. Yeah. Right here, we're seeing what looks like it might be Sid's rocket potentially. That also could be the ruined city of not Midiel, but
that's a dog.
There's a ruined city. That's Red 13, man. What are you talking about? That's Nanaki. This looks like it might take place in like possibly the city of the ancients. We see Cosmo Canyon.
Yeah,
There's some fighting that happens, which that happens in Final Fantasy VII.
We get to see the golden saucer.
Well, I'm not going to spoil that for you yet, sir.
I got 3 more minutes.
Yeah, exactly. We see the Sephiroth confronting the monsters in Nibelheim, which, Nibelheim is like probably the focal point of Final Fantasy VII, so that's going to be in Rebirth. This game looks like it's going to be massive. We finally get to see Cait Sith in his form, and we also get to see some combat from Cait Sith, which looks interesting. Looks a little bit out of place in the remake, personally speaking, but we get to see the buggy. We also get to see chocobos, man.
Chocobo.
Like, one thing I want to mention.
Toes. Chocobo toes.
One thing that I want to mention that I think is very important is the map looks enormous, and we're watching a black chocobo, which is one of the more better traversing chocobos in the chocobo breeding line from Final Fantasy VII. Scaling like near vertical wall, which is what it's supposed to do. We're seeing a green chocobo hovering in the air to get to another place. We see Costa del Sol.
Segways?
Yeah. It's Costa del Sol. Of course they have segways. It's where you put your vacation home.
Everyone keeps segways in the House of the Sun.
Yeah. We see the Doctor in Midiel, so it looks like we're going to see Cloud's exposure to Mako happen and his recovery from his second bout of Mako poisoning. We get to see the fucking Midgar Zolom. Yeah, dude, that's the Midgar Zolom. Oh, that's so exciting to me. Like, as a bit of a fanboy, you could call me. Everything that I'm seeing here looks fucking awesome because I was really worried for this game. And how do you show the scope of the world map in Final Fantasy VII Remake when Midgar was so closed? It made it hard to visualize how they were going to display it.
Alexander.
Yeah, you see, we get our first peek at Kajata and Alexander and Odin as summons, which is awesome. And then we get to see the Gold Saucer. So it's been confirmed that all of the events that happen in the original Golden Saucer are going to be happening in Remake.
Oh my!
Yeah, including the date, including all of the arcade games that were previously in the game. Like
motorcycle seats. So
right? Yeah,
it's very cool.
I'm gushing. They show a little bit of timey-wimey stuff with Zack again, and they show some characters that that they haven't revealed are like what their deal is. We have weapons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. That's
yeah,
when
dude.
Start showing up.
They show the fucking weapons. We get a little bit of Vincent in the trailer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, dude. So I am super stoked for this game to come out. I had my reservations based on how Final Fantasy VII Remake ended. They're still there in the annals of my brain, but they've been moved back to the recesses. I am really looking forward to this.
2 discs. Of
Yes,
course,
it
it's
is
available on 2 discs.
and it's a 2-disc game for the PlayStation 5. It's gonna be huge.
Has to be on multiple discs.
Dude, with how big Remake was in scope,
the
I
first
can
game,
only
you
imagine.
just switched to the second disc after you killed the snake, right? I think it's right around then.
Yeah, I think it's either just before or just after the Crystal Cavern, which is when you see the Zolom for the first time. Oh, dude,
very cool.
I'm so excited. This trailer has made me feel a lot better about how they're going to do Final Fantasy VII after leaving Midgar, and it looks really good. The combat looks like they've put some effort into the combat.
And the great thing is, since you like the first one, if this one's great, you just know that the rest of the game is going to be fantastic. They're not going to fuck it up.
That's exactly it, right? Like as long as they can bring me like a real Final Fantasy VII in a remake form, like they did with the first game, as long as this one, Jesus, Josh, at least meets my expectations set by the first game, then we're good. Me and Remake are good. Yeah. I'm looking so forward to this. It's out in just a few months. I'm gonna have to buy. Yeah, it's February
29th.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, that
it's right. So man, yeah. Two full
I guess
discs.
that's almost half a year from now, but yes, a few months also fits.
Well, at least we have a release date, right?
Yes.
It was supposed to be out already. So I'm just glad to have a release date.
Very fair.
I have something to look forward to. I have a deadline to save up a few $100s for a PS5 so I can get Final Fantasy VII Remake on launch. That's the unfortunate part is there's no confirmation that there's going to be a PC that it'll be on PC at launch.
Nintendo. You don't have that much money. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo.
Yeah,
my
I know.
ADD brain.
Just put it out on fucking PC. Put it out on Xbox. Put it out on everything, dude.
Is
Square. Listen,
Rebirth out on PC yet?
No.
Not Rebirth. Well, the remake is out on PC.
No.
But Rebirth isn't even launched yet.
No. Rebirth. I'm sorry. Is it what's the first one called?
Remake.
Okay.
Yeah. Remake and its DLC Intermission, which Intermission is awesome. So it's probably one of the best DLCs that I've ever played. And all it is the Yuffie storyline up until the end of Midgar, which they've never done. It was entirely new content.
You didn't meet Yuffie in the first game for quite a while.
For quite a while after Midgar. But in this instance, you get to play as Yuffie in Midgar, which is awesome. It was easily the best DLC that I've ever played. It was... it was only like $15. Now I bought the set for like $50. They gave me both, but if you were to buy it standalone, it's like $15.
That did come come out on PC.
That did come out on PC, yes. Okay. And it was awesome. They improved the combat over Remake. They added new systems. You got to play Fort Condor. So, Nick, if you remember the mini game on Fort Condor where the Phoenix sits atop,
sure,
they made it into a full mini game that you get to play as Yuffie with other players in Midgar.
Okay,
it's a full tabletop game that you get to play. It's awesome.
Cool.
It's an incredible mini game. I don't know why they haven't brought that to mobile. It's awesome.
They don't like making good decisions.
I know they don't, and that's where I was going to go with Final Fantasy 16.
Every Final Fantasy since the 1700s has had a mini game in it.
Yeah.
And none of them are available on Google Play, as far as I'm aware.
It's fucking mind back. Like, dude, I would love to play fucking. The best part of Final Fantasy VIII was Tetra, right?
Yeah.
God, it was good. Honestly, the card games in Final Fantasy 8 and 9 were
There was
fucking
an
good.
entire new sport in Final Fantasy X.
Yes, I know. Blitzball was awesome.
It was its own game.
I played more Blitzball than I played the RPG.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. Come on, but like, Square Enix, you need to stop with the
They
fucking
need to start.
Well, they need to start putting it on other platforms. They need to stop it with the goddamn console exclusivity.
Yeah.
The only reason you didn't sell more copies of Final Fantasy 16, which is a well-regarded game, Metacritic score in the high 80s, is the only reason you didn't sell more copies is because you limited yourself to just PlayStation 5. I understand leaving it totally exclusive to next-gen consoles or current-gen consoles. I get not putting it on PS4. I get not putting it on Xbox One. But put it out for the series and put it out for the PC.
They don't like money.
No goddamn excuse. They
like
do
money.
love money because all they've complained about is how poorly it did. Well, it only did poorly sales-wise because you can only sell it to 1/4 of the people that play fucking video games. That's my rant on Square Enix. I also love you guys because the the Rebirth seems like it's going to be awesome.
Is that Square Enix's decision?
Yeah, I mean they're getting money from Sony to make it an exclusive,
way,
right?
But
Square Enix was owned by Sony.
They're not.
Oh.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify because something like with Bethesda and Zenny, like Microsoft is their parent company now, so it's pretty clear. I feel like the reason that Elder Scrolls 6 isn't coming out on PlayStation, it's one of these. Yeah. Like, I bet if they had just rolled over and taken that first deal, Elder Scrolls 6 would be coming out on PlayStation.
So
that's funny.
Yeah. It makes me sad that they're sticking to this. And maybe it's a cultural thing, and maybe it's a Japanese thing where they stick with the players that they've known and loved for so long. Sony did a damn good job at promoting Final Fantasy VII, making it one of the biggest and best games ever launched. But it's like since then, it doesn't seem there's been much of a mutual benefit, unless the console is just the number one platform. But that's it. That's it. Like
they hate money.
I guess
this
so.
is the only reasonable answer.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys like games. You got $5?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
I spent it all on this Rip It Energy Tribute Cherry Lime.
Freedom
that was
juice.
The rest of my dollars. So I feel free.
Not the greatest soda in the world. No.
It's not even good.
I'm a fan of roguelikes and roguelites and just the game Rogue in general. Yes, I'm that old. I'm also a fan of Backpack Hero, and I'm also a fan of Vampire Survivors and Brotato. And pretty much every Vampire Survivors like clone there is, it is worth examining. I was looking around, I caught on my YouTube feed this game, and I realized I was watching runs of it, other people playing more often than I should be. And I was like, oh yeah, I should just look into it. $5.39, I think, on Steam.
Yeah.
This game, worst name in the world, God of Weapons. It is a bare bones game that is, like I said, I think $5.39. And it has the Backpack Hero style, quote unquote, inventory management, in which case your backpack grows in size. That's as you level, you get to increase your backpack size. And the orientation and what items you put in your backpack determines synergy bonuses and things like that. And then the runs themselves are very standard Vampire Survivors like. Try not to die. The gimmick is that you can have as many weapons as you can fit in your backpack. So you want to wield 9 great hammers or 15 throwing daggers at once, go for it.
Sweet. That's fun.
All the traditional Brotato, like, because this is very based on Brotato mechanically, all those numbers of lifesteal and attack range and cooldown, all that are all manipulatable by what items you put in your backpack. They have benefits and drawbacks. And it has a pretty solid meta progression. Achievements doing certain things like reaching 75% lifesteal or taking 1,000 damage in one run, unlock new classes. The classes all have like a base modifier, like the knight or the wizard or the priestess, and then there's 3 subclasses for each that tweak that. You slowly unlock more and more items that get added in the item pool. That's it. Like, the game isn't trying to be anything else. It is in 1.0. I don't think it went early access. It's pretty clear that like they put out enough that the game works. But that gameplay loop of you do a run, you get money to buy items, you optimize your backpack to do another run. It's just crack. If you like these types of games, I bought it almost just out of frustration. I'm like watching people play. I'm like, I could do better.
Sure.
Yeah. What's even cooler is, and I was pleased to see this, they are partnering and bundling with other games of this genre.
Oh, cool.
You can buy Backpack Hero and God of Weapons together for right now 12% off. It's 14 cents over $20. So $20 gets you 2 games. Backpack Hero, I'm not going to say it's arguably like a better game, but it's way more fleshed out. It has storyline and multiple paths. They also partnered with Soulstone Survivors, which is getting pretty, I think there were like 12,000 positive reviews out of some amount. Sorry, I got the volume on the laptop. So yeah, if these kinds of games, if you like them, there's some, 10% off is kind of whatever, but it's cheap. Like, if you like these kind of games at all, what's $5? Like, you're going to spend that on toilet paper, and you can't synergize toilet paper in your closet and get an attack speed bonus. So I don't know what you're waiting on.
Well, I'm rationing toilet paper until Friday, so
Well, yeah,
I'll pick it up on Friday.
Increase your attack speed, sir.
Yeah, 100%. I need to increase my toilet paper efficiency and attack speed.
I mean, yeah, if you're not killing enough shits every run, then you make less money every run. You just end up,
I'm not great at the TP game.
No.
The TP meta progression eludes me.
TP. So that was God of Weapons. I do want to really quickly throw back to last week when I just started Blasphemous 2. I'm now about a third of the way through the game. I've managed to kill the first 3 bosses and unlock what is either the second part of 3 parts of the game or the second half. I'm not sure. I only know I'm a third of the way through the game because of like the 100% progress clear. Is it like 37%? It continues to astound me. It's like this game was made for me in particular. I mean, I think anybody can enjoy the art and the art design and the art direction and the vibe and fit, and it's giving Catholic vibes. But the gameplay itself, like if Dark Souls is a 10 out of 10 for difficulty, I hate to keep bringing it up. This is like a 6, right? Maybe a 7. And I haven't played a really good Metroidvania in a while. And due to a sheer fluke, and it was enough that like I had to stand up and just go tell Adam, I fought the first boss who we just saw live on the stream, Moraspina, this thread fencer chick. Each of these 3 bosses, the first ones took me 2 tries. You kind of learn their stuff the first go around. And she is a fencer. She uses this long-ass S-stock style rapier thing. And you have that as well. You get yourself a rapier and a paring dagger as one of the 3 weapon sets. And I went there with the sword and the big old hammer because that's what I've been using to clear mob trash. I realized pretty quickly she's just too fast for that. Mm-hmm. So I met her on her terms, rapier to rapier. And the combination of they've got this really staccato drum beat that starts off slow. And the more you do damage your health, it gets quicker and more drums get added. She has this little speech beforehand. She bows to you and says on guard. And we just fucking danced. It was like, you think of like someone who's mastered a game and they play against a boss and they do it in a cinematic style, not to beat it as quickly as possible,
but to show off.
Just did that by a fluke.
Right.
And it wasn't that I was like all up in her peaches and cream every attack. It's that like we would both dodge out of the way, seemingly predicting the other one's going to attack.
Yeah.
My last strike in her and winning thing, we literally Iajutsu both dash attacked at each other and passed each other by. I was just laughing out loud how beautiful it was. It was like, I need to find the email of the guy who made this boss and send him a thank you, because I had not had that much fun fighting a boss in such a long time. I do think it was partially, not necessarily fluke isn't the right word, but a situation of circumstance. I was in the right mood. I'd been playing roughly 8 hours before I fought my first boss because I kept going around to different areas. So I'd only really been fighting trash mobs at this point. Mm-hmm. This was the first real challenge, and it was just the perfect difficulty level. I loved it to death. The other 2 bosses weren't anything to sneeze at. They were fine. And then I found an optional boss who was in the place under the Underdark, Scary Clown Town.
The gazebo.
Yeah. Big old puppeteer looking guy whose beard was like a piccolo, and he's just grinding a sword in the dark. And I didn't even get to know his name. Didn't even say anything. 9 tries. 9 actual tries, not to count like the 4 or 5 times where I just immediately fucked up.
Right.
That was Dark Souls level hard, and that was fun. He just, like most of the bosses, they have not just like 2 phases, but they slowly increase through their phases. The third and final main boss, you actually fight one guy, and then another guy pops out, and the third phase, you fight them both together. Very, what's the Dark Souls?
Army of 2.
No, I was thinking of... Everyone knows the 2 Dark Souls bosses, the golden guy, the fat one, and the lion dude. But yeah, it's been very, very fun. I have now brought down the city from the heavens, and I get to explore that and probably get my shit kicked in. But yeah, highly recommend it. If you like Metroidvanias, if you like any of these slightly difficult games where you get to feel good about winning, try it.
Now, I forgot that I wanted to talk about this. So I didn't put it in the doc.
Oh, yeah.
But motherfucking Titanfall 2 is back.
Dope.
So EA fixed their problems with the hackers a couple months ago, apparently.
Put some effort
but
in finally.
yeah. But in doing so, they broke the matchmaking. So the last couple months, you haven't been able to actually join an online match.
Mm-hmm.
Matchmaking is fixed. People are playing Titanfall 2. We're talking tens of thousands of people at a time are playing Titanfall 2. That's been the case for the last couple weeks. Titanfall 2 also showed up in the top 10 streamed games on Twitch, not today, but yesterday or the day before. Titanfall 2 is an awesome game. I think it was
10,000 people playing it right now.
Right now, and it's we're looking at midnight Pacific time.
Back, baby.
Yeah, so 10,000 people playing right now at midnight Pacific time for a game that's like fucking 7 years old now. The game still holds up. It looks great. It still fucking plays great. You were talking about cinematic quality to the way you fight. Titanfall 2 does that in droves, especially playing through the single player. I immediately picked this game up, mind you, at $3 because it is on sale for $3 right now. So if you haven't played Titanfall 2, or you played it on console, but now you need to play it on PC, whatever the circumstances, if you don't have it available right now from Steam, $3.
Go pick it up.
Go pick it up. They've been adding patches. They put in new DLC just recently. It looks like the Titanfall 2 is like an active project right now. Now, the fun thing, I was like 2 weeks ago on the podcast, I was going to bring up that the project lead from, I don't have the article in front of me because I wasn't prepared to talk about this tonight. I'm doing this like right off the cuff. But the project lead from the Titanfall projects was moved to Star Wars back when they did the first Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And this is Respawn Entertainment that we're talking about here, creators of Titanfall and the Star Wars games. He got moved to the Star Wars project for the first one. Recently, within the last couple of weeks, it was announced that he has been moved on to another unnamed project. Now, I don't want to get too speculative. What I don't want to get is my hopes up.
Act 5, baby.
But seeing that they fixed the multiplayer in Titanfall 2, they're doing an ongoing sale with no end date in sight of Titanfall 2. I don't think it is that out of the question that we might be gauging interest in another Titanfall project. Those are my hopes. More likely, we're probably looking at gauging hype for additional Apex content, or one of the leading theories right now is adding a mech game type to Apex, which I could see happening, being as that is their leading games as a service. That would be less than ideal, I think, but I'll take more mech combat, man. Especially right off the heels of Armored Core 6 coming out and renewed interest in mech games potentially. There's never been a better time for Respawn to bring you mechs in the form of, even if it is Apex, even better, a Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
and it's looking like it's a possibility. It's somewhere there in the ether, and I think EA is going to be paying attention to the active sales of Titanfall 2 and how long it can maintain a large player base in Titanfall 2 for its multiplayer. So it's a dream of mine to get another Titanfall game. Let's make that happen. Go buy Titanfall 2. It's an awesome game. If you're into first-person shooters at all, if you like Apex at all, if you like the first Titanfall at all, Titanfall 2 is like the best mix of all of them. Play it.
And to quote Chad over here, when you get that feeling, I want that mechsual healing. That's gold.
If I had to put my money down, they're gauging interest in Apex Titanfall mech mode, and if that does well, then they will start working on Titanfall 3.
Very possibly, yeah. Could be.
There's no way they would just randomly start working on Titanfall 3 out of the blue, given that they've literally just been letting Titanfall 1 and 2 rot in the fucking shit pile for years now. But yeah, Armored Core 6 did so well, and they're like, oh, maybe it's time for more mechs.
People like mechs, apparently.
Well, I mean,
Apex is a great idea because there's more money for them. People will want to play it.
It's the EA dusting Titanfall 2 off. I mean, boy, makes me think of something like I don't know, shit. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's like it's cool to see a beloved property get some attention. You know, like that's man, that's really cool,
dude. Especially one that's got fucking wall running.